What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the grand finale of Deus Ex. After dealing with the missile silo and running to Jock, as you can see, the intention was to go around the launch pad to avoid the dog. We're heading to Area 51 to confront and eliminate Bob Page, although things might go differently depending on what happens. Oh my god. Sorry. Anyways, we're heading to Area 51. Let's get this started. So immediately hide here because Jock will literally tell you there's a sniper in the tower. So we want to hide so that he doesn't see us. If you're careful, you can spot him in the tower. We just want him to turn around so that we can move safely. So let's do that. Gonna head this way and jump down where there is a crashed van or whatnot. And since we did not eliminate Walton Simons at the Ocean Lab, we are gonna have to face him again here. However, unlike the Ocean Lab, if you get into this conversation, he doesn't aggro immediately. You can avoid it, and I'm just about to show you how. As soon as the dialogue comes to an end, get your cloak on and the recirculator just to conserve power, and just sneak around him. It's that easy. And very carefully sneak over here because we don't want him to turn around and then start shooting us, because he'll blow our ass to bits with plasma. But yes, you can turn your cloak on and sneak around him, and he will literally stand there for all eternity, completely eliminating the need to take him out in any way, shape, or form. So what we want to do now is, in here we can go ahead and get some stuff. Go ahead and heal yourself with medkits if necessary, and then what we want to do is we're going to use our Dragon's Tooth and Combat Strength to break open some of these locked lockers, just so we can get some stuff inside, like the multi-tool, for example. Actually, I think that was the only thing in there was the multi-tool. But where we really want... Oh, there's another one, actually. Anyways, next step is this hatch. Unfortunately, I think there was a key. There was a key next to a dead... Or no, there was... I was wrong. That key doesn't work. You have to lockpick the hatch, and you can't use Dragon's Tooth to destroy it, unfortunately. Because that would be very handy if we could, but we can't. Down here, you don't need anything from that maintenance guy, unless you want to eat a candy bar, which is what I did. Anyways, what's in here? Rebreather, but we don't really need it. Biocell, we always need those. And then, with some multi-tools, we're going to bypass this keypad for an upgrade canister. We're going to be able to get a lot of these now, but the more the merrier, because the more of these we can invest towards cloak and or radar transparency, the more efficient that the more energy efficient those augs will become. In this case, I used it to put radar transparency at tier 3, because the cloak was already at tier 3. Alright, so next step, it's time to get inside. There's a security terminal. Now, what you could do is go to the top of the tower. There's a security terminal where you can just open the big front door, but that's not what we're doing. We're going to infiltrate via a giant ventilation tunnel that's in this hangar over here. In order to get through the fan blade, the giant fan blade, without it killing you, you have to destroy it, which will be done with the Dragon's Tooth in combination with combat strength. So in terms of like progression, this is where having the Dragon's Tooth, the combat strength AUG upgraded to at least tier 2, and then the low-tech weapon skill at Master. That's where having all of that is really going to truly pay off. So we're sneaking in around the security bot. Use radar transparency if necessary. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry about that. I've got cats meowing, I've got microwaves going off and everything. Anyways, once we're in here, stay to the left. We want to try to get as close to that group of guys as possible before we absolutely have to get our ghost dogs on. Cloak, Run Silent, and Recirculator. So go ahead and get them on so that we can run up the beam here and get onto the roof of this little area. You can cut them off. You can cut them off now. I took too long to do that. Now you're going to want just your Run Silent on, or you can also use the Recirculator, but we're going to have it on so briefly that it doesn't really make a difference, so that we can jump up to the beam without making loud noises. Turn Run Silent on again, because we need to jump down here without making noise. And again, for the same reason. Alright, let's get the Dragon's Tooth and the Combat Strength so we can destroy that Fan Blade. And now we'll jump in. No need for Run Silent this time. Thankfully, we land in water, because landing on a actual surface would have killed us instantly. And now let's move up. So through this corridor, there will be a security terminal that we're going to hack so that we can turn off some cameras and stuff that's right around the corner. So go ahead and hack. So let's get it on. Yep, turn off the camera, and then we should be good to move forward, because we didn't want that camera right there to see us. Lockpick for us, and then we want to take this elevator thing up. Sorry, down. My mistake. Yeah, we gotta go down, because we're going into Area 51, where each sector is lower and lower and lower than the other. We'll need multi-tools to bypass this laser grid. Yeah, it's just one. And then we go onward. Alright, so we've got series of ladders to climb down. And this will take a this is what qualifies as Sector 1 for Area 51. That door will get us into Sector 2. But we want to take some biocells off that dead maintenance guy first, so make sure you do that. So go ahead and hit the button to get the door open, and then you can listen to Tong and Page's dialogue if you want, but unless you want to hear it, you can just charge forward and progress into Sector 2, where we'll hit a loading screen and enter the next area. Alright, let's do this. So here you want to stay to the right because there's a camera to the left. You can use radar transparency just to make sure the camera doesn't perceive you, but even if it does, as long as it doesn't notice you for a couple seconds and set the alarm off, you're fine. Now you need to very carefully and precisely hop those lasers. You'll know you did it wrong if you hear an alarm. But that's how you want to do it right there. So this is scripted. Once you reach a certain point, you'll hear that, and then you're going to want to go back because it's going to blow up. But that was basically a trap that Paige set up for us. So now for progressing, we want to go to the left. Morgan Everett is actually going to contact us and ask us to return to the holocom that's behind us. I just want to go this way to trigger that.
You're doing well. Come back
and then the holocom is right dead ahead from where we're looking. Let's go talk to Morgan Everett. he's going to tell us his
much further?
intentions.
Not far.
And also
When we reach page,
give us a warning
I just
about
wanted to
Tracer
let you know
Tong's
that Alex hacked the
intentions.
Sector 2 security grid.
Tong
The
wants us to
code's
destroy
8946,
Area 51 to eliminate
and I wanted
global
to warn you about
communications,
Tracer Tong.
essentially
Tong's helping out from Vandenberg.
plunging the world
The
into a
vaccine
dark
work.
age where
Yes, well, he has another motive.
where
He
civilization
wants
has
you
to start
destroy
over
Area
again.
51.
Morgan Everett is asking us
No,
to
Jason.
eliminate
Spare
Bob
the
Page
facility.
so that Majestic
Spare
12
Helios,
is
the power station.
basically
They can be
annihilated.
made to serve.
Spare the facility
You
and use
me,
it
JC.
to bring the
You
Illuminati
rule
back
the
to
world in
power.
secret, with an invisible hand.
There is a
The way the
third
Illuminati have
option,
always ruled.
but
Don't
we'll
you
be
think it's
getting
time
to
we
that
end
one
the
a
tyranny
little
for
later.
everyone?
There's
But
such a
right
thing
now,
as
it
a
seems like it's a
compassionate
binary
conspiracy.
choice
We don't
between
need Page's commandos,
between
troopers,
total economic
crude
collapse
inventions.
or
Trust me.
the Illuminati
Kill Page.
or the
Now the
Illuminati's
Illuminati
return to
will help with the
power
next step.
and the return of 20th century capitalism. Anyways, now we can go back where we were going from and actually proceed this time. So Morgan Everett, during that conversation, gave us a keypad code. The code actually unlocks the keypads here in Sector 2, so you can use it to get in here, use radar transparency, and run silent to avoid the security bot. So what we want to do now is, we need that keypad code. Because we want to get in there not only for a key, but an AUG upgrade canister. And then, now this, and unfortunately that keypad we need to bypass, you can't use multi-tools. But, you can bypass this one so that we can get the lockpick that's in there. And the biocell. Now, one of these sleeping pods has a greasel in it. They can actually detect you through the glass, and it'll cause the combat music to play, but they're trapped in the sleeping pod, so they can't spit at you, so there's no need to worry. So let's proceed to the next sleeping pod area. Again, being mindful of the security bot. So if you know it's clear, you can keep radar transparency off. But if it's not clear, then you're going to want to turn it on. And when you round the corner, you're going to want to turn it on anyway because of the camera and the turret. Make sure you turn cloak on when you enter that room because there's guards in there. But when we went in there, we looked at a data cube on a table and it gave us this keypad code. So you go ahead and backtrack over here using the necessary ghost dogs depending on the security bot's position. And then there's the key, and then there's the upgrade canister. What did I use the canister for this time? I used it for man, what did it? I used it to get run silent to tier 4. That's what I did. Because at this point, the AUGs are basically where we need them to be. So we might as well max out the run silent since we use it so much. So now we need to backtrack again towards that holocom. Again, radar transparency might be necessary depending on the security bot's position. And here at the holocom, we're going to lockpick this hatch because it's going to be our discreet way forward. But be careful down here because there are Karkians. So you may need your cloak depending on which way they're facing. And then there's going to be some really hot steam that we're just going to have to charge right through. It will hurt us a little bit, but at least it won't kill us. Now there's a repair bot up above us. As long as it's passing through the like solid floor, you can actually click on it and replenish your bioenergy from down here, which is what we really want to do since it did get reduced a good bit from excessive AUG usage recently. This hatch will take us back up there. Just be careful, we don't want to get caught by anyone. If they perceive you, that's fine as long as you break line of sight, even if you have to use cloak. But what we want to do is get up here very carefully. Use AUGs if you have to. So I used the run silent, and then I ran to the door and used the key to open it, and then make sure you close the door back. So there's Paul Denton. He's finally back in contact with us. So yeah, if Paul is still alive, he'll radio you here, and then he's gonna holocom us shortly. And that depends on if Paul was survived and or was killed during our betrayal of UNATCO way earlier in the game. Anyways, after exploring the area, we want to call this elevator and hide to the side because there's a bunch of cyborg agents that are ready to ambush us. But watch this. Get your cloak and your recirculator on so that you can sneak behind them, and then you can take the elevator down. You can turn your AUGs off while you're sitting behind them. I always drop my pencil. Anyways, why did I pause the video? Anyways, and then, as you probably saw already, since this is delayed now,
we can get you into Sector 3.
We turned our ghost dogs back on and then just ran past them. And then there was a loading screen that took us to the next area. And then immediately we'll see Holocom with Tracer Tong. He's going to basically reiterate the same thing again. And try to tell us the advantage of the global economic collapse that destroying Area 51 would cause.
It's just a hole in the ground.
And why the Illuminati should not rise back to power.
The central hub.
But there is a third thing to consider, and that is Helios.
Control all forms of media.
Helios
destroy the Aquinas hub,
is an
take
AI.
down the global network.
Helios has the idea of governing the world when humanity is so unwilling to do it themselves.
I don't know.
But
Sounds
it
like
needs to be
overkill.
merged with a host. Bob Page is obviously the wrong host because he's doing the merger. He's doing the merger to basically become an
Another Stone Age would
omnipotent
hardly be an
god
improvement.
Not so drastic.
to rule this
A
world,
dark age,
basically.
an age of city-states.
But if Helios merges with us, it could have a better outcome to it.
Savage has a map of Sector 3 from when he worked on
Yeah, I'm
it.
sure I'm completely caught up by now. I accidentally paused the video when I dropped the damn pencil.
Then find the
man.
coolant
Anyways,
control room, which should be at the northwest corner of Sector 4.
So, of course, if you're just trying to
Coolant
run
to
through
the
the game
reactors,
quickly,
then go to the
you can
reactor lab.
skip these
I will tell you
dialogues
how
if you
to
really
trigger an
want to.
explosion.
But, anyways, we're basically just waiting for it to end so that we can continue. So they're going to open the door to Sector 3, and then from this point forward, it's basically just a matter of... Well, almost. Helios is going to force us to access the Aquinas hub to talk to him. Or them, or whatever. We're going to ride this forklift, make sure Run Silent is on, because we're going to be jumping and dropping from heights that make noise. So what we want to do now is we want to go up the stairwell. There's a room with a security terminal where we can hack it and do a bunch of things. We can deactivate all the cameras. We can open a containment Oh, that's one thing you gotta be mindful of. I'm not sure what causes it, but sometimes people from up where we're going can actually, they'll react to something and then they'll run down the stairs, so be ready to turn your cloak on if that happens. What I think happens is that down in this area, there's a bunch of Karkians on the loose, and they will actually attack anything they see. So if they attack any troopers, it can actually cause people up here to freak out.
Yeah, no problem.
So what I'm about to do is actually wrong. I used multi-tools to bypass the keypad on this containment safe thing that upgrade canister is in. But you don't have to do that. The security terminal that I already mentioned is up here. You can hack that, and there's a special action of opening that containment field without having to burn multi-tools. But I stupidly forgot that while I was recording the footage. Technically, either way works, because we have enough multi-tools to get to the end of the game. But the preferred option is to do it through the security terminal. So those guys, if they have a conversation, then that might trigger them to walk away. But what happened was I quick loaded and kind of canceled it out. So now they're kind of stuck. Except for now when he's running down. So obviously the Karkian is going rogue. So yes, you hack the terminal. There's that special action that I stupidly forgot about. But while you're here, you want to, and then I realized, I tried to quick load and correct myself, but then I realized it's too late. I already, I don't know what I was doing there. Anyways. It was too late, and I already, there's the upgrade canister. We do want to get that. And I had already screwed up, and so I used the upgrade canister for environmental resistance. It's a good idea to get that AUG upgraded at least to tier 2, because once we're down in like deeper into sector 3, from here, turn the cameras off. And then from the camera to the left, you want to perform the action to open the door. That will open the door to the reactor, to the reactors. Now, if we're going down Tracer Tong's route, we have to overload those reactors to destroy Area 51 after we deactivate the coolant in Sector 4. But we still want to go to the reactors anyway, because there's a maintenance guy in there that will give us the keypad code to the Aquinas hub, and we need that keypad code in order to progress. Get your ghost dogs on, and once you're here, turn radar transparency on, because there is a spider bot near that door. Once you're in here, you can cut them off and start sneaking. There are some weird radioactive alien things in here called Greys. But if you listen to what this maintenance guy's about to say, they're not actually aliens. They were basically breeded here in the Area 51 labs. But they look like your stereotypical aliens, though. They're called Greys.
Who?
I said they're radioactive because they can cause radiation damage if you get close to them.
We lost power when a missile.
This is a good idea. This is why this is the time when the long overdue job of upgrading the environmental resistance AUG to at least tier 2. This is when it should finally be done, because
they only bring it up to run tests.
We will have to get into close contact with Greys, and that AUG will help mitigate the radiation damage at least a little bit. Obviously, we still have some hazmat suits in our inventory, which will also be using them.
Reactors.
Just because the AUG is not tier 2 is not ideal to use that AUG alone, which is why we're still going to pair it up with hazmat suits.
But they lock the blast doors because they're doing more than cloning.
So let this guy talk, and he'll give us the keypad code to the Aquinas hub
here in Sector 3,
so that we can progress forward.
Maybe the Aquinas system controls access.
And then, in order to progress to Sector 4, Helios is going to refuse to open the door until we go to the Aquinas hub to talk to him, which is exactly what we're going to do. And I already mentioned that Helios has the intention of merging with us for the better of the world, because humanity needs a truly intelligent and sentient, needs an intelligent AI fused with a sentient being to really have a chance of thriving. Or at the very least, that's what Helios claims. Get your ghost dogs on, including radar transparency. Once you're past the spider bot, you can turn radar transparency off. And then once you're back to the stairwell, you can cut all your OGs off. But again, because of the Karkians, just be mindful of people that could potentially run down these stairwells. So get your cloak on when necessary. Keypad code will get us into the Aquinas hub, and we will proceed. Alright, so let's go talk to Helios. So I was looking at... You might still see me look at skill points because at this point in the game, it's awfully late to improve skills, but you might as well if you have any points to kill. So we don't want to go that way. What we actually want to do is shatter this middle window, use Run Silent to quietly drop down. You don't need to take anything from that guy. And then we'll lockpick this hatch. There's a commando guarding the passageway that leads to the Aquinas hub, so we're going to use this path to discreetly get around him. Just, get your ghost dogs on, and then you can run past them. Cut them off once you're around the corner. And then don't use biocells because we got a nice repair bot right here ready to recharge us. Now let's take the elevator up to level 3. And we're going to go talk to Helios. Helios will try to justify his reasoning behind merging with JC and then creating a sentient, super intelligent being that can truly govern the world for a potential stable and peaceful future, I guess. In case you're wondering, this is the ending outcome that we're going to go for, is Helios.
Rule the world?
Mostly
Why?
because
Who gave you the
this
right?
outcome
There
does...
must be a human being
We're
behind
trying to
the
play the game as... We're trying to ghost through as much of the game as we possibly can without taking people out. This outcome doesn't require you to take anyone out. Because if we went down Everett's path for the Illuminati's benefit, we would have to kill Bob Page by, like, overriding a bunch of generators for his fusion chamber or whatever it is. And it's also hard to ghost that outcome because there's, like, Greasels, Karkians, and Greys swarming all over Sector 4. Especially at the ground level where a lot of those generator thingies are. If we took Tracer Tong's route, presumably hundreds are going to get killed when the facility blows up, including Paige. And then when you also, if you choose that outcome, back in the reactor room where that maintenance guy was, if you try to fire up the reactors while he's still conscious, he'll eventually pull out a pistol and try to shoot you. So you have to take him out. But with Helios, we don't have to take anyone out. We just have to go to an uplink lock room that's in Sector 4. We need to, like, disengage them so that his merger with Bob Page doesn't happen. And then we just have to... We do something on a computer in that room. And then from there, we will come back to Helios here at the Aquinas hub. Best thing to do is just jump down and drop in the water. The water is hazardous, so you immediately want to swim out and land on this thin little pipe here. But we are going to swim back in so that we can get a multi-tool from the maintenance worker. Use some med kits to heal yourself. Or if you want, you can use regeneration, since we have a repair bot nearby that can heal us, but We're about to have a bunch of commandos swarm our position. Get a biocell from him. You don't have to dive in the water to reach it. So it's safer to use the medkits due to the ambush. So let's take the elevator to level 2, it should be. Yep, level 2. And then we will, so yeah, I'm using some regeneration just to heal myself all the way. And then you should still have a chance to use the repair bot if you want to. But as soon as we get to a certain point, an ambush of MJ-12 commandos is coming. Helios is going to help us out by hacking the security bots and using them to attack the commandos. In the meantime, we're just going to charge past them with our ghost dogs. So at this point is when that should happen. There's the security bots. So let's get your ghost dogs on and start running.
Scanning area.
It's best to do it as fast as possible because as soon as they aggro on the security bots, especially if they're close to the stairs, you might be hard pressed to get around them. So turn environmental resistance on just in case you have to get close to that gray. And then I went the wrong way. You want to go to that ladder over there. So let's do this again. Ghost dogs, but no radar transparency. Charge past them. Get environmental resistance on in case you get close to the gray. But I didn't turn it on because I already knew that I wouldn't get close quarters with it. Cut your augs off once you're up here. So now, it's time to go to Sector 4. Because we're going to do a healing. Regardless of outcome, you need to go to Sector 4. So, in this case, we're doing what we want Helios wants. So we need to disable the uplink locks, and then I'm guessing redirect the uplink to the Aquinas hub or whatnot, so that we can go back and our merger with Helios can happen. Alright, what we're about to do, this is going to hurt, so be ready to heal yourself, even if you need to use a little bit of regeneration aug. We need to, while the spider bot is looking away, we need to drop down to this pipe. We're basically going to shatter our legs, but thanks to some med kits, we can heal at least a little bit of the damage.
Do not forget.
And then, while the spider bot's looking away, I recommend dropping down and turning your radar transparency on. There's honestly, I wouldn't suggest trying to drop down with run silent because you will take damage, you will make noise, and the spider bot is probably going to react. So you're better off just dropping down with radar transparency on.
Paul, where are you?
What do you mean?
Now we have a holocom which
Helios.
Paul Denton is
It's
going to
taken over
contact
Aquinas.
us with.
Now it's everywhere. In Hong
Paul
Kong, it
is going to
already
give
had
us
power
some
Majestic 12
pointers.
never dreamed of.
He's actually
going
going to
on?
suggest
The
that
AI wants to
perhaps
merge my brain
merging
or
with
something.
Helios
Doesn't really
is
think it can take
probably
over
the
the
best
world.
outcome.
It decided to replace
Now,
human
from a
government. I
gameplay
don't know why.
perspective of doing
In
this
Hong Kong, I ordered the police to remove
non-lethal,
all
mostly
barricades from the
ghostly
roads. Traffic is
playthrough
flowing
with
again.
as
It declared
minimal
the triad's
takedowns
illegal
as
and locked the door to
possible
the
while being
Luminous Path
stealthy.
compound. And people are
Helios
obeying.
is the best
Why?
outcome since
Because the
it's
AI can
best
change some
suited.
codes and turn out the lights.
Since we're not
I think
required to
everyone wants
take
the roads
anyone
to be
out,
open
and it's
trade to
just
pick
straight up
They
best
just obey.
suited
I don't know what
for
to
our
think.
play
They
style.
trust the AI. Almost no one
But
complains
as
when
far
Helios
as
cut power
what
to the
you
government
think
buildings.
is best
A
for the
benevolent
world,
dictator. Maybe it's
the
after my
Dark
reign so we can
Age,
figure out what
the
people want and how to
Illuminati,
control them.
Return to
You
Power,
have a tough
or
choice, JC.
the-
If you defeat Page, the Illuminati
the
will move in
potential
and
bright
release
future
Majestic
with
12's grip on world
JC and
governments. They'll give
Helios
people
as
some
one.
freedom, but essentially it will be
That
20th
is
century
up
capitalism,
to
a corporate
personal
elite protected by
interpretation on
laws and
what you
tax
think
codes.
is truly best
Or I
for
listen to
them
Tong and pull
within the
plug on everything.
context of this
Or
game
hand the
world.
world over to Helios. Well, if it's maximum freedom we want, maybe Tong is onto something. But there must be another way besides economic collapse.
Now, if you're
Trust the AI
curious,
to be
if
fair and
Paul
just, as it appears to
died
be.
earlier in the
The brain
game,
it assimilated was mine. Maybe it could be.
Gary Savage is going to be
I wish
the
I had
one
an answer for you,
contacting
but
you
you'll have to
on
decide for yourself who
holocom
you can
here,
trust.
and
Trust
he'll
me.
basically be
I'll do the
saying
right
the
thing.
same things.
You sound good.
So,
I guess you have the kill switch beat.
but one thing
Much better.
interesting, I don't know
Yes,
if
I'm
it's
gonna make
the
And you will
I don't
too.
know if it's the
do
patch
what you
that
think
I'm
is right.
using called New Vision, or if it's just a problem that's always been part of the game, but Gary Savage looks glitchy and fucked up on the holocom if he's the one that contacts you. But we managed to keep Paul alive due to a really nice suicide exploit way earlier in the game, so no worries there. You can check out these like chambers if you want. These like clone chambers or whatever. One of them you'll notice is named Alex Denton, which is going to be a discreet hint at our protagonist in this game's sequel, Invisible War. Speaking of Invisible War, I don't like how that game kind of assumed that all three of these endings happened, instead of just choosing a canon one. I guess the Helios one is the most canon one, but the game claims that he merged with Helios and then proceeded to destroy Area 51. As for the... oh, there's an upgrade canister on that scientist, so feel free to take it. And don't forget to investigate other corpses and stuff, because, like, some of them have biocells and whatnot. We're using the upgrade canister for regeneration, because at this point I'm just using it to upgrade random things we have. And then, as for the Illuminati's rise to power, I think Invisible War claimed that it happened as a result of the collapse. So, hack the security terminal to open the door to this room, and then you can turn the or actually no, the terminal like turns on these air things so that the toxic air is mostly gone, but we're still going to use a hazmat suit and environmental resistance because there's grays in here. So turn on your ghost dogs and your environmental resistance so that you can get through with hardly a scratch. Cut your augs off once you're through. And then we're going to... well, honestly, you could just go through the door if you want, but you can jump up and over that open window. There's no glass or nothing. So Everett is telling us what to do if we wanted to go down his path. So what's about to happen is that as soon as we progress forward, we're going to run into Bob Page in his chamber where he's planning to merge with Helios to basically become a god. What's going to happen is he'll talk with us, and then the very instant that the conversation with Page ends, some turrets are going to immediately try to shoot at us. But we are going to avoid that by the very instant this conversation ends, turn on radar transparency, as well as the recirculator. But I'm mostly just a broken record on reminding you to turn on the power recirculator, because we've basically been turning it on in conjunction with every single AUG due to the fact that it reduces the bioenergy drain.
You're gonna burn.
Anyways,
all right.
Go ahead and talk with Paige. This is the closest we're gonna get to a climactic final battle with him. So, just make sure radar transparency goes on as soon as the conversation ends.
Ignore Page. He will die when we blow up the facility.
Yep.
Your only objective.
Go ahead and turn Run Silent on too, because there's a spider bot over in this area that we want to make sure we avoid. You can safely cut your AUGs off here. So this Aquinas router is where we need to go. I think somewhere in here you can learn the keypad code, but we're just going to use multi-tools Thankfully, we can bypass the keypad with multi-tools, so we're just going to do that. And now we can get in here. We've got 2 up-leak locks at both ends of the room. We're going to... I don't remember if we're engaging them or disengaging them. I think it's engaging them, so we're not coming in here to break the connection with Bob Page. We're coming here, I guess, to reroute Helios to the Aquinas hub, where we can where we are going to merge with him. Alright, so there's that one, and then we have this one over here. Next step is to do something at this computer. It's a special action. If you listen to Helios, he's going to give us the login. Forgot what the username is, but the password is Panopticon, I think. Or if you don't remember the if you want, you can just hack the terminal, obviously. But Helios provides you with the login, and then you can do the special action. And now it's time to backtrack to Sector 3, and then the Aquinas hub from there. Get your radar transparency run silent on to get past the spider bots and these turrets near Bob Page. Cut your odds off once you're here, because you're safe here. I was trying to go back this way, but for some reason you can't do it from this side, so you just have to go through the door. And then this room, which has the grays in it, get your ghost dogs on, and your environmental resistance, and a hazmat suit, if you still have one. Which, I don't remember if... Yeah, we did. I just forgot to put it on. That way you can get through this room, sneaking past the grays, and taking as little radioactive damage as possible. Alright. So you can heal here if you got to. Now let's proceed back.
Think what we could do with Area 51.
At this point, I would say eat a biocell to get your energy replenished, because we're about to have our ghost dogs on for a long time. We have to get past the giant spider bot that's right outside this door. And then we have to get past the gray, which means we have to put environmental resistance on. And then we still have to get past... There should still be one commando that's guarding the walkway to the Aquinas hub. So run. Turn off radar transparency at the stairwell, because the spider bot is... We're past it. Get environmental resistance on, so that we take less damage from the gray. Turn environmental resistance off once you're here. And as long as all the commandos were killed by Helios' security bots, you can cut all your augs off. If you want, you can repair yourself at the repair bot, but it's not necessary since the game is literally about to end anyway. I also turned on regeneration to heal, but that was definitely not necessary. The game is literally about to end in a few seconds. So head up to level 3, and then just proceed to the chamber, and a new world order will begin with JC Denton and the Helios AI, merging together as one. So let's sit back and watch the movie, I guess you could say.
I've done what you asked. Now what?
Proceed forward, and congratulations, you have completed Deus Ex.
Stagnant.
Who are you?
We are Daedalus. We are Icarus.
Not only have we completed Deus Ex, but we completed the game completely non-lethally, with the sole exception of Anna Navarre, who unavoidably has to die.
You will be who you will be.
if we ever took people out, it was always non-lethally, again, barring Navarre. And we tried to minimize takedowns as best as we could with the right selection of AUGs. We also tried to minimize our usage of lockpicks with the right skills and the right AUGs.
Don't leave me.
And we also tried to make, you know, non-lethal takedowns more efficient with the correct investment in low-tech weapons and combat strength augmentation. And then, of course, we wanted to become a ghost with cloak, radar transparency, run silent, and then of course the power recirculator served its purpose of making AUGs more energy efficient. That completes Deus Ex, my non-lethal stealth walkthrough. Hope it was helpful for you. I'm kind of sad it's coming to an end because I love this game so much, but we made it through. Hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Time to get back to Thief because I've been sleeping on that for too long. See you next time, and farewell.